Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Monday, June 29th meeting of the Node.js and API Working Group. Before we get started with our agenda, does anybody have any announcements to make?
No.
All right. In that case, let me share my screen. Okay. I think we want this guy. There we go. And onto the milestone. Just to give it a quick refresh, I doubt anything's changed, but still. Okay, so first issue, next node add-on API release. Let's see, we do have some stuff going on. Yes, that's right. So I think Michael has since approved. Is this the two? Yeah, I think this might be that issue. Got a bit of a chain going on. Yes. Okay. Holy cow. This thing's had some discussion, but why is this closed? Right, yeah, so basically, right, I think this has that. As far as I know, there's nothing else marked with 2.x. And the winner is, there we go. Yeah, so this has 3 approvals now, and it has passing tests as far as I can tell, except on 14, which didn't exist at the time 2.x was still around. So I think this one's good to go. So Nicola, do you think you might have some time to make a 2.x release with this stuff sometime this week?
Yes, yeah, and this paragraph is point to the okay to the v2.x staging. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
It's good.
yeah, it
I
is.
only need to merge these paragraphs and make the release. Is it right?
Yes, I think
Okay,
so.
I
And
can.
please don't forget, after you make the 2.0 release, you need to push another tag to make sure that the latest the at latest tag for npm is pointing to the 3.x release, right? Because remember when we did the security release, we released master, and then we released 2.x staging, and then when we checked the latest version on npm, it said 2 point something, right?
Yeah, I
So
need
so then
to.
we had to push another tag.
Yeah, I need to reset to the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I remember.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
so this week I will do this release.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that's all we needed for 2.x, I think.
And
So then back
I think that
to
this will be the last to release.
almost certainly, yes. I don't
Yeah.
think
Okay.
there will be another one. Okay, so transfer the NAPI tutorials to the OpenJS Foundation.
Okay, so I've
Jim, I
been
think this one's yours.
yes, so I've been working on getting the search going in here, and all of my efforts have been fruitless. I've just reached the conclusion that the skills necessary to make that happen are just not the skills that I have. So my plan now is I've got GitHub pages enabled for my fork. I can actually work out how all of the GitHub pages are going to work on the fork. And then my objective now is to get the site published on the fork and get all of the tooling in place to make that happen. And once I'm able to do that, then I can let Michael know what changes he needs to make to the repo to support the GitHub pages. And then I'll be able to do a PR on examples, and then we'll be able to publish.
Okay.
And then as far as the search, one reason we picked Gatsby is it's the same tool that's used by Node.js.dev.
Mm-hmm.
And that project has 100 contributors. So I'm hoping that what I'm thinking of doing is putting an issue on our repo that says, could somebody help us get search configured in Gatsby for this? And then ping it over to the Node.js dev group to see if maybe there's somebody over there who has the expertise that could add the search for us.
That's a good plan.
Okay. Okay.
And you know, in the meantime, like I'm not sure. I mean, this is probably like zero integrated, but like if it is published on its own website, then you know it's sooner or later it's going to get indexed by Google, and then you can just you do like a custom Google search with like site colon and then the name of our website and then just text.
Exactly. Yeah, I
It's
hadn't
not
thought
it's not
about that.
it's not ideal. It's not
Right.
ideal, but it is a
Yeah.
good solution.
Yeah.
In the meantime, but yeah, your plan is what we definitely want to do in the long
Yeah.
run.
Now, the one thing I have been able to accomplish is this idea of embedding the live source code right into the pages. And that is something that the the Node.js.dev group does not have. So
Mm,
that might be an opportunity for cross-fertilization if they needed
absolutely.
that sort of thing. So
Yeah. It's important to have live code because you know otherwise you get out of sync, you know, and you have
yeah,
to basically copy the code every once in a while. So yeah, absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, we'll see what I have to report next week. I expect I'll definitely have a live site up on my fork and possibly maybe even a PR to enable it on the main repo.
Excellent. That's awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, so then tracking issue for modules we've noticed are ported for this year, basically. You had a comment there. Yeah, I looked at the module, so this is good. Don't quite get what it does, but I'm happy that they're using an API to do it.
Oh yeah, it's used on WebAssembly, so it uses an API interface in WebAssembly.
So it's a WebAssembly implementation of an API. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, it's good to see some movement on other runtime or environment that yeah are making stuff with an API. So
Yeah, and I think DevSnack has been working on it as well because he had like a couple of PRs, I think one or two PRs against an API where he introduced like conditionals for like C preprocessor conditionals for WebAssembly into like the main and API headers. So I think that kind of work is happening on several fronts, which is great.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's good. So let's see, burn down list of issues raised by module owners. See what's been going on in the main repo, or in our repo rather. Where was that? Towards the end there.
Very old.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's just have a look at. Hey. No. So just regular stuff. Okay. Oh, okay. So we got some questions. Oh, I didn't get a chance to look at this type error one. Let's have a look at the
Yeah,
report.
I and Michael worked on this, and okay, you can follow the discussion, and The problem was that using jest, um, in the test failed on um, uh, recognize if the error is a type error, but it's strange because and what I did is to go on the source code of Jest, and I replicated all the checks that they are making for the type error. And if you execute these checks by hand, it works as expected. And I did the same thing, same test with other um, test runner like Node.js or Jasmine, and it works. And so then I just opened an issue on Jest, try to get to obtain some help. I don't know, maybe like Michael said, they are making some instrumentation for type error.
That
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, that makes sense. If they're expecting the type error to come from JavaScript, and then they monkey patch the type error prototype, then type tag it or something, then that might explain why, because the type error is produced
But
by the native side.
if you follow the issue that I opened, in my the strange thing is that the error, see, expected constructor type error, received constructor type error. So this is very
Yeah,
strange for me.
yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Why? Exactly.
so
Yeah, why does that
and
fail?
yeah,
This is a reasonable reproduction, but of course it needs native stuff to reproduce.
yeah, but there is
So
this repo. There is a repo, Node.js API
yeah,
exception. It's not. Yeah, so they can use the code to
yep,
reproduce the
to
error.
reproduce. Yes, good.
Yeah.
That's great.
If everyone here in the call know how to solve the problem, it's I don't know just so it's new for me.
Yeah, but I mean, if you just do like instance of, using JavaScript, then you
Yeah,
get true, and I mean that's it. If they get false for instance of, then they're doing something wrong, right? I mean,
yeah,
we are complying with ECMA script, right? So I mean, if it fails in their frame, it doesn't fail in any other framework, right? If you just use assert, it works. So I
yeah,
mean, there's a
yeah,
very
yeah,
good chance that they're doing something wrong, especially since their own error message says, expected X, received X. So how can there be a difference?
yeah.
So yeah, it's good.
Okay. So it's not. It seems not an error on the Don API or an API.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yes, that's right. Yeah, it seems fairly certain. I mean, we don't use any fancy framework to check. All we do is just do like an assert.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we do a JavaScript instance of, which works. Okay, so what's going on over here? Add finalizer, movable. Yes. Hmm. Oh, we have a lot of these. Right. Yeah, I think this is where we start needing to use, yeah, smart pointers. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think this is part of a generic issue with our library. We need to go through our code and and look at the scenarios where it bails very thoroughly, and that's sort of a pass over the code, and we need to look at all the situations where we have multiple what is it, nappy throwy fails in the code, because then we need to make sure that before we throw anything we clean up, and yeah, using smart pointers is a good way to do that. So yeah, this is kind of a big to-do item for us,
Yeah.
and this is just one issue mentioning that. So, all right, wrong one. No, it's not. Where were we? Here. Fatal error. Oh, okay. Yeah, I looked at this one, and yeah, and I tested. Okay, so I wrote. Yeah, I think this is the handle scope issue, if I remember correctly. Yes, he did that, and he got what? Yes, the handle scope issue. So for this, there are two things going on. So the handle scope stuff has, like Michael's handle scope fix has landed in master. It has now landed in 14, at least in staging. I'm not sure if there's a 14 release containing the fix, and the PR is still open for 12. So once it lands everywhere, then we can move forward with running the tests in worker threads on Node add-on API, because that would expose these issues. Because right now we actually have a problem in the way we run tests, in that in certain scenarios, if the test fails, the error doesn't make it back all the way to the top process, and so the top process just says the tests were successful even though some of them failed. So I have a PR for that, which is blocked by this handle scope issue. I forget what the PR number is, but it's in Node add-on API, which would basically make the tests run in both a worker thread and a sub process. And once the core PR lands in 12 and is released, then we can start landing those PRs. So it's a bit of a blocker, but it's getting there very slowly but surely. Okay, so then that's what this is, and it is fixed once we have backports properly. Okay, the rest of them are fairly old issues, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Factory static methods. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know how far down we should go. We should look at the core repo as well, I think, because we have lots of issues,
Okay.
and we have them there as well. So if you want to bring up any issues, then please do so. We still have time. But let's just, yeah, go ahead.
Just 750. Just
Okay, what's the lifetime of a deferred? What's the concept of an escapable handle scope? Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Oh, so it's a promise async. Oh, maybe we should.
Yeah,
Maybe we need to promise async worker.
um, but he are calling you are resolving on the execute method.
Yeah. That's
So
That's
it's not
right.
good, and so I answered saying that he cannot use he
Yes, that's
cannot
good.
call the main thread and
Oh, geez.
so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
But at the end, he
Okay. Yes, that's right. That's one thing, and the other one, the underlying deferred, however, is not deleted automatically. Yes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the deferred is a persistent reference, but um, yeah, let me see how we did promises in Node.on API. Okay, cd node.on API. Okay, it's been a while since I looked at promises.
yeah
Oh,
we have a deferred and
yeah, but yes, but the deferred is kind of a reference. So deferred is a persistent reference, I'm pretty sure. Let me double check with the core code. Okay. So yes, the deferred is a persistent. The deferred is a persistent. Right. Right. Okay, right. It is a persistent. So then how do we, let's look at concluded deferred. Right. Resolve, reject. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, delete deferred ref right here. So we delete it. We delete it as part of the conclusion. So we delete it right after we resolve it. So then the problem with that is that here, when you call resolve or reject on the deferred, okay, what do we do afterwards? Because we've got this guy. This guy should be like zeroed out afterwards. Let's see our resolve and
Gabriel,
reject.
Gabriel, I mentioned we're not seeing the code you're looking at.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah, no worries.
because you're sharing a window. Oh my goodness,
No
I'm
worries, no
such
worries.
an idiot. What's going on? Alt tab. There we go. Sorry. Let me share screen. Your entire screen. Share. There we go. Sorry about that. So this is the key here. So this is in conclude, right? Meaning that either resolve or reject. We are deleting the deferred, and so here we are storing the deferred. Therefore, in instances of this class, these two methods must null it out so that the container becomes empty. And so I'm going to double check that they do that. So let's go back to Node.js API, nappy inl h, and let's go to resolve. What? There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the only thing we can do here is, sorry, go ahead.
We are passing the value, so I'm expecting that the value will become empty.
Yeah, so we need something like this, I think.
Yeah.
Here and here. Yeah. Yeah. But if the Node add-on API object is itself heap allocated, then that needs to be deleted at this point. So whoever calls this needs to also delete it if it's heap allocated, because it will be empty afterwards. So let me see what else we're storing in here. We're storing the env as well. So then we should probably also null out the env. So this should probably be like this. This seems reasonable because it's empty afterwards. Okay. Yeah, so let's see what we can answer here. Hello? What the? There we go. So where were we? No, not this guy. This guy.
Yeah.
That's right, yes. Is not deleted automatically. Right. Okay. Yeah, so the nappy promise deferred becomes unusable after it is resolved, rejected. Thus, upon calling resolve or reject, or not upon, but after calling resolve or reject, if the happy promise deferred is heap allocated, it can safely be destroyed and must actually be destroyed in order to prevent a leak. Right? I think that is about it. Because we cannot very well do delete this inside, because that may not work, because it may not be heap allocated. So we need to tell them to delete it. Maybe we should make a documentation change for this, right? To mention that. I'm not sure if our documentation, well, let's check our documentation. Okay, so let's see, deferred, constructor, and resolve. Resolves the inner object. Right, okay, so this should at least say the deferred cannot be used afterwards, and should be deleted if heap allocated, and same thing for resolve, I think, right?
Okay, so I can make this change on the docs if you want.
Okay, yes, sure, yeah,
Okay.
okay. Let me write that in here. Okay, so please add some text too. All right. No, not raw. That's not going to give me any links. Can I look at the source version of it? Maybe with blame. Yes, blame. Here. There we go. Make it easy for you to find.
Yeah.
At the resolve and reject methods, explaining that the nappy promise deferred cannot be used after these calls, and that if it is heap allocated, it must be destroyed at, well, should be destroyed. I mean, you know, if you have some strange reason to keep it around at that point, then you should not be forced to destroy it. I mean, it could be subclassed or something for all we know, but it should be destroyed. All right, thank you, Nicola. Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now then, where were we? Issues. That's where we were we not? Okay. Yes, I was asking if there are any others that that you feel we should bring up at the meeting. If not, well, there might be in the core repo. So let's check that guy. Okay, GitHub, Node. That's a good one. Okay. Yes, this is a good PR. Changing the module registration function. That's pretty good. Okay, well, let me see, like, is open, because we have a bunch of stuff that's closed. Right, so this one is still, the backport is still outstanding. Hopefully that'll land soon. Documentation, I don't know if any of you want to take this on. Just make sure that you document that, you know, nappy create external buffer just uses the pointer, doesn't copy the pointer. It's one of those little issues that everybody thinks everybody else is going to do, you know, like the situation in volleyball where it's like, oh, I thought you were going to hit it. Oh, I thought you were going to hit it, you know, because it's so small, but hopefully somebody's going to hit it soon enough. So then let's see, backport array buffer. I'm not sure if that's going to land because 10 is fairly, what is that called? Petrified by now in terms of changes, but we'll have it in 12 and later. Okay, Lucas, you want to update us on the nappy make callback issue with the duplicate context? If you are still here.
I don't have a time to continue working last month, but I'm planning to work on it in the next 2 weeks. So I don't have any updates now.
Okay, all right, no worries. Awesome. Okay, so then where were we? Okay. All right, duplicated. Yes, this is still yours. Okay, this one, meh, not sure. I don't know if we can do this synchronously. We've had some talk about that, but the fact that we're relying on the event loop might make that difficult to drain synchronously, because you basically have to hijack the event loop and just keep running it. But yeah, it's yeah, that's a piece of work to see if that's possible. Okay, so Michael asked about this, and I don't remember where we were. I had a look at this one. There was a ping going on. This is kind of, yeah, we have to recap this discussion because it was a while back that we talked about this. I kind of filed this under, you know, something to do when if we ever do NAPI 2.0, then we may want to add this status. But right now we're just going to throw with pending exception, if I remember correctly, which seems to be okay. It's not breaking anybody, so and we can still talk about it, but things seem to work. And it's pretty edge case because it's only when you're trying to run JavaScript code during the process of shutting down an add-on that this becomes an issue. So that's still something we can talk about. Okay, otherwise, this one, I think for 12, I think we're still not in the clear for this one, but we're slowly migrating away from the version of V8 that had this issue. Hello, go to the end. Yes, where were we? Oh, 10. 10 doesn't have it. Yeah, so then when 10 falls off the edge, then we will be in the clear and we'll be able to close this issue.
So in April.
So, sorry?
So when so 10 is the version of Node, yes. Yeah. So
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, version 10 of Node.js, yes, has this issue, and it's not likely to be fixed because you need like, I think version at least 7 of V8. It's fixed sometime in the 7 lifetime. So 10 is not likely to get that. And I forget, when does 10 become end of life? I think next April. So
yeah,
we will close
in
the issue
April,
next
yeah.
April.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's on its way. Like the fix is on its way to be universal. So there's that. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. Well, we do have many issues that we could talk about, but if any of you have one that you would like to bring up, then please say so. Otherwise, we can just move on. If not, let's have a look. Well, let's go back to the agenda and we can have some free discussion afterwards because we do have other things to look at. Okay, Node.js, I had a look. Status quo, unfortunately. Hopefully somebody's going to pick that up. Method tests or matrix of methods, Nicola, status quo or otherwise?
Yeah, status quo.
Okay. Debug testing. Again, this is CI, so I don't know. I think we might need Michael's help for that one because we need to set up some jobs that run with debug, and yeah, and we need to decide whether we want Node to be in debug mode, and if we do, then that's fairly involved. So I'm not sure we're going to be able to get that because we don't have any like debug tarballs of Node, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't publish debug versions.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to do them in CI unless we want to do one of those crazy CI jobs where we build Node and then we build Node out on API and we build them both in debug mode. That's a mammoth job that we shouldn't run very often.
Do we test Node core in debug mode?
No, that's what I'm saying, right? Like we don't have tarballs of Node core where it's built in debug mode, right? With debug symbols and with the extra checks that Node adds in debug mode, right? So you know, if we wanted to test Node add-on API in debug mode with Node core in debug mode, then we would have to build Node core ourselves, right? In debug mode, and then as a next step, build Node add-on API against Node core in debug mode. So that's a pretty big job to set up, you know, for the CI. Because I mean, you know, our CI runs on a bunch of platforms, so you know, we Node build process is pretty good for most platforms. So you know, we do get a lot of benefit from the work that goes into making Node build successfully on all the platforms that it supports. But it's still, you know, one more job where we build Node from source intentionally, you know, and so you know it can go wrong in many different ways, and I'm not sure if us being such a small team we have the bandwidth to fix those issues as well, you know, just to make sure that Node add-on API works. So, but on the other hand, if we just build Node add-on API with debug symbols, that would be a lot simpler, right? So we just have like a CI where you just get a release version of Node, and you know, you npm install minus debug, you know, and then you, or npm test minus debug. So that is a smaller job. And in fact, I'm not sure if do our jobs have the ability to add flags? Because we might just want to do that. Let me see here. CI job node test node add-on API new. We have that. If we don't, then we might want to do that. Right. So if you build with parameters, I don't think you get that chance. No, you just get that. But if we look at one of these, we still don't. Okay. So okay, so this might be something to do, is to just add a flag here. Maybe talk with Michael about that, because he's pretty good with the CI, and just add a flag here to just be able to add like minus debug, you know, as a choice, and then we would have some kind of version of the job that does run in debug mode, at least for Node add-on API. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask the question of Michael here. There we go. Okay, so going back to the milestone workshop, NodeConf EU workshop proposal. Jim, what's going on with that one?
Yes, so
Oh yes, the slides.
yeah, and since I put this up, there's not been a weekly meeting where both Michael and I have been on the call at the same time. So
Okay.
just I would like to have a discussion with Michael present just to get his thoughts on how we could conduct this and what our goals are and all of that sort of stuff.
Okay. Okay.
But
All right.
it's
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, and we've still got like 3 weeks, so I'm not
Yeah.
concerned about this right now.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be virtual, right? So,
Yeah.
well, you know, I mean, I really hope that it's going to be real time though, right? Because the talks at OpenJS World were pre-recorded, right? So, and
Yeah.
only the chat was real time. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm hoping that, I mean, this being a workshop and all, it would pretty much have to be real time. Otherwise,
Right.
you know, well, I guess people could sort of, you know, scroll back and forth, or though, could they scroll back and forth in the video? I mean, it would be
Yeah.
good if they could, because on OpenJS you couldn't, because it was a live feed of pre-recorded videos.
Yeah.
So yeah, it might make sense for them to just, if it is going to be pre-recorded, that they just upload the video so people can skip back and forth,
Uh-huh.
and then we could, you know, we could point them to, like, you know, go to like 5 minutes 36 seconds, and that's where we talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. But hopefully it'll be live, so that
Uh-huh.
you know, people can ask questions and you know, get live answers, especially since it's a workshop.
Right.
So, but yes, like you said, we have 3 weeks, and so we can still work on the format.
Yeah. That yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty.
Yep. Okay, so that's good. That's good, and we'll hopefully have a meeting where we're all here
Mhm.
by then.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, it's the end of the agenda.
Yeah.
Anything else to bring up?
Mm. No. Okay.
Okay, if not, then I have one thing. Let me try to remember if it's one or more. I think it's only one. Yeah. But just wanted to get your thoughts on. Um, oops, can't spell my own name right. That's not going to work. Okay, so okay, yeah, that one's blocked. Yeah, this one is going the right way. This one. So I was thinking over the weekend about about this whole issue of context sensitivity, right? We now have the environment get instance data, set instance data, which does like a one-to-one with Node Core. And I had this idea that, you know, an add-on, you can look at an add-on as kind of like an object wrap instance, right? It's just not a JavaScript object that you're wrapping. It's the environment itself that you're wrapping, right? Because you're taking an environment, and well, you're taking an exports object basically, and so you're adding methods to it, you're adding accessors to it, right? And you're adding values to it, and then you're sending it back to Node.js, and then that becomes your add-on, right?
Mhm.
And so the only way in which it differs from an object wrap, like a wrapped object, is that instead of using nappy unwrap to obtain the native pointer, you use nappy get instance data to obtain the native pointer, right? That's the only difference. And it doesn't have static methods, because that's the whole point, right? You don't want to have static methods, because static methods absolutely cannot have like a this pointer, right? So they cannot have a context. So if you wanted to have a this pointer everywhere, you know, and then store the this pointer on the environment, then you could avoid potential mistakes of passing the wrong class into get instance data, because get instance data looks like this, like info env get instance data, and then you have class name here, right?
Mhm.
And so if you copy this to every method that you expose, then and you have many classes, you might put the wrong thing in here, right? And then in your thing you say, you say like set instance data, class name 1.
Yeah.
You do this in your init, and then you do get instance data class name 2, right?
Yeah.
And then you wonder why it crashes. So one way to fix that is to do this. Right? If you do it like this, like you would with object wrap, then you can use all the methods that object wrap has, like where you have like instance method and instance accessor, right? And those would not be static. So you don't need to call get instance data anymore, because whatever you gave it when you declared this class is the pointer you're going to get as your this pointer. Just like in with object wrap, the native class instance is the this pointer when you call an instance method, right? So I wrote a PR for this, and I asked you all for review. Well, I forgot you, Nicola. Sorry. Let me add you as well. Sorry, Nicola. I asked you all for review because it's quite a big change, right? It basically rips apart the object wrap class, and it creates. Wait, Jim, you've been really active. I should add you as well with the context stuff. Sorry. So it rips apart the object wrap class, basically separates out one called instance wrap, which is not really a useful class in itself, but it's a good base class. And so all the like instance accessor, instance method, and instance value, they go into this super class, which object wrap inherits from. And then you can add a class called add-on, which does the same thing as instance wrap, except it overrides the unwrap to not use like a JavaScript object. It doesn't use nappy unwrap, it uses nappy get instance data. And then you can have cool stuff like how do you get to my branch? Will that take me to my branch? Yes, it will.
Yeah.
You can have cool stuff like this guy. So you can make your add-on like this. You create a class just like object wrap, and then you can just define. You can call define add-on. You can add instance methods. You can even add sub objects. So you have like like add-on dot something dot method, and then that can also be attached to instances of this class. So then here, I guess I should have used. Yeah, I guess I am using. So you have like a private value here, which you can access from all your bindings now, and you don't, because this before getting here, it basically does an unwrap, and it uses nappy get instance data to retrieve like a pointer to this guy, and then it calls this guy arrow this method. So yeah, I've been working on that. It's a pretty big change. It's like yeah.
And
There's
sorry.
lots of pluses, minuses. Go ahead.
We can use object wrap inside the add-on class, like a property, or not?
Yes, you can, but that's you very correctly pointed out that there is one thing that it doesn't do, right? For and I was debating on whether to try to make it work or not. So with object wrap, if you have an object wrap class, then and you have a static method, then
Yeah,
there is
okay.
absolutely no way that you can avoid using get instance data for that, right?
Yeah.
Because because the way we created object wrap is if it's a static JavaScript method, then it's a static C++ method. And that's maybe not such a good choice now that we're looking at context sensitivity, right?
Yeah.
So, but on the other hand, if you want a this pointer, then it cannot be a static method, right? And you can do it, but you kind of break the nice containment of the methods, because like you could say static method, and then you could write a wrapper that takes an add-on method, like an instance method declared on the add-on class, and gives it as a static method to the JavaScript class inside object wrap. And so when you inside when you define class, instead of saying static method and then the name of your method, you say something like add-on or my add-on : static method, and then the name of your method. And then that method can be an instance method. And it would receive, as the this pointer, it would not receive the JavaScript class, because obviously, or the JavaScript instance, because obviously that's not how it's supposed to work, but it would receive the add-on pointer as the this pointer. That could be done, but then the method cannot be inside the class, right? Because inside the class it would be a static method. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you had this like class add-on : right? And then
Yeah.
inside you would have like class JS class : public object wrap JS class, right? If you had this, and then in here you would have something like static
Yeah.
JS class method, right?
Yeah.
This cannot have a this pointer, right?
Yes.
But what you could do, and it would be kind of a hack, you could do something like this. Void JS class static method const nappy callback info. You could have this, right? And then in here, if you did a JS class, and then or sorry, you have init here. You have like init, and then in here you do define class. You have the name and stuff, but I'm just gonna see if you could do this like nappy, or you could do like add-on static method. What would that be, like add-on JS class static method? See, you could do this, right? Is what I'm thinking. Right now, the PR doesn't let you do this, but if we added it, then you could. And then in here, like if you had like private int x, here you could say like x plus plus, right? Because this in here, this would be this, right? And then, but it's kind of hackish, right? Because this method, this method is not inside this class, right? That's the problem. Because if you put it inside this class, if you move this here, right, then either this method gets an instance of this class as the this, or it has to be static and not get anything. In which case, you have to do something like info env get instance data add-on, and then x plus plus, right?
Yeah.
But then two things. I mean, you could do a friend class so that you can access the private and all that, but you have this problem here, right?
Yeah.
Which is now a much smaller problem, because you're not calling get instance data for everything. You're only calling it for these things. So the chances of error are much smaller, but still, do we, is this okay? Because we can never fix this problem so in such a way that this remains inside the class. The only way to fix it is to take this method outside of the class. Oh my goodness, and we're over time. Sorry, I took too long. But anyway, so the PR is there. Please have a look, and hopefully we can have more discussion about it, or just get it reviewed, etc. All right. So sorry for keeping you.
749. Okay, so
Yeah, 749. Yeah. Oh, and this is a very cool feature. This white space thing. Look, you could use it on this PR because there's a lot of places where the indentation has changed, but otherwise the code is identical. So it looks like a much bigger PR if you don't use the white space thing. I found it really useful because I did review it myself a few times before asking everybody else.
good.
All right. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right,
See y'all
guys.
next week.
Next week.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Yep, bye.
See you next week.